What are your different income streams that you have right now?
Yeah, so the income streams that I have, I've got a couple of businesses that I'm running. Basically, one business that I'm running is I've got a few products of my own that I have got websites set up for. Traffic is arriving at those websites, and some of that traffic is converting to sales. Those are all electronic products, and that's an information marketing sort of business. Then I've got other websites that I have where I'm selling particular affiliate products. And I'll give you one example that I actually got from Sterling. Very early in the Internet Business Mastery, my Internet Business Mastery listening experience, I heard you guys talking a lot about Dan Kennedy. And so I went out and created a small website where I resell or drive affiliate traffic to Dan Kennedy products on eBay. And some of them are actually Sterling's products on eBay. I'm sure I have sold products for Sterling and gotten an eBay commission. I know you appreciate that. An affiliate example. And then the other thing that I got started with, these are kind of simple things you can get started with that are compatible with part-time internet marketing, is just AdSense websites. I take a topic that I'm interested in. I see that it meets certain criteria for cost per click. I generate 5 or 10 pages of information, kind of till I get bored. And I put that site out there, monetize it with AdSense, and do some light promotion on it to drive traffic. That traffic generates AdSense clicks, and that revenue just sits there and accumulates over time. Once you put the stuff out there, it's out there forever.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is very cool. One of the things we like to get into, of course, is mindset. So we wanted to know what fears have you faced along the way in starting your internet business, and how did you overcome them?
Well, one of the interesting things is, I guess, initially when I was starting the masonworld.com blog, I was literally someone who didn't know anything. I mean, I was basically blogging about the fact that I didn't know anything, and I was learning along the way. And one of the fears that's very natural is to try and understand who in the world wants to read about somebody who doesn't know anything and all about how they don't know anything. And that, it's a really good question. And the answer is, or it seems to be, that there were a lot of other people who also didn't know anything. And they were interested in knowing that they weren't alone and learning what I learned, and they shared with me, and we had conversations. And so it was that fear that you always hear about whether or not people care what you have to say. And the answer is there's over 6 billion people in the world. You really only need a couple of thousand to have a viable internet business. You're going to find people that care what you have to say.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in fact, you can have under 1,000 and do incredibly well.
Yeah.
I've got stuff that's under 1,000 that I could live very comfortably on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I'm really glad you brought that one up because I know a lot of people face that exact same thing. And, there's a reason why at least a couple thousand people have found what you say compelling and interesting enough to stick around and listen to you. You've resonated with them just with your own experiences and the way and the values that you portray. And you know what, when you do come out and say, well, you know what, there's a lot of things I don't know, but I'm going to share what I do and I'll tell you what works and doesn't work for me. I mean, that there's a humanness that comes out in that people can really attach to. And in fact, I mean, it reminds me of the whole story that the Superman comic didn't do nearly as well until they introduced kryptonite and he had a weakness, so that there was actually something that people could, relate to. The fact that, well, if you're just perfect and invincible all the time, it's a lot harder for people to connect with that. So, I think that's a great example that you've shared there of a fear to overcome.
Well, and we've done that too, right? Like that was how we started, was the almost anti-gurus. We were just guys that were doing internet business, and it works incredibly well. People, I think, really like to hear the actual, like you said, humanness, I guess, of the situation instead of just a guru on a mound up high,
Right. If you're constantly comparing yourself to Yannick Silver or Andrew Locke or one of those guys that we all love, and I love those guys, and I follow them, and I think they're great. But if you're starting at zero and you can't even see Yannick Silver from zero, right? I mean, so that can be a little bit demotivating. It's much better if you can have some intermediate goals in the form of mentors that you can look at and recognize that there is a path to becoming Yannick Silver or Andrew Locke or, quite frankly, Jay and Sterling. I mean, anyone listening to this podcast can be as successful as Jay and Sterling. I really believe that, but you've got to take action and get busy or you'll never catch them.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So how would you say internet business has impacted your life? I mean, you've said, well, you know what, for now I really enjoy my job and I enjoy having this profitable hobby or maybe side business. I mean, do you have some specific ideas or specific examples of how this has contributed to portions of your lifestyle design? What have the benefits been for you?
Well, I have 3 children and another one on the way. And so, for me, having multiple streams of income seems like a credible strategy to deal with the rising cost of college. I mean, it's very nice to imagine a situation where, no matter what your level of income is, where you have another 5, 10, 15% of income that you can use either now or in the future to do whatever it is to realize whatever lifestyle design that you're going after. So these kind of things have caused me to question things like my planned retirement date from my current job, what kind of investments that I want to make now and in the future and in my business. And so as a result of that, one of the things that I've decided is I reinvest an enormous amount, almost 100% of the proceeds from my business right now, because I'm just interested in growing it as quickly as possible. And in order to do that, I've used some of the things that you teach, like, for example, the getreplacemyself.com that you guys talk about, which has been incredibly helpful to me in growing the business without causing me to have to work additional hours. And just like you talk about, I'm getting more done working less.
Awesome. That's something I think a lot of us could enjoy.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of your family, you've done a really great job of working on your internet business despite having a full-time job and a family life. What would you say are 3 things that have really helped you stay on course and make that happen?
Well, of course, for me personally, the 3 things that I would pick would be to say that, first of all, I am sure to remember that my family comes first. So that's for me. So whatever's important to you, you've got to keep that first, because if you're doing all this stuff and you cross the finish line without the thing that's most important to you, you've messed up the lifestyle design portion of the exam. Go back to square one. You did it wrong. The
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. And the second thing that I would say is that I am doing as much as I can to involve my family in the side business, and they think it's cool. My wife has a website. My 12-year-old actually has a website that she works on occasionally, although she's so distracted by the Jonas Brothers, sometimes it's hard to get her to do anything on it. But, yeah, I involve my family in it. And then the third thing is you have to be realistic about your goals. I mean, sometimes I get email from people, and they'll say something like, please help me. I lost my job 4 months ago. My credit cards are maxed out, and I've got, 20 days to make $50,000. How can I do that? And I feel for those people. And they're losing their houses and stuff like that, and it's terrible. But that's not the business that I'm in. I'm in a business where you build equity over time. You have to create value in order to build that equity. It's not a something for nothing proposition. And the business that I'm in, it takes time to build that. It's not an overnight thing. And so the third thing then would be to be realistic about goals that you have in your business. And that's another way you can help keep it from taking over your life.
Absolutely. Are there any other tips that come to mind for somebody who's trying to start an internet business?
Absolutely. And that would be one of them that you give all the time is take action, even if it's the wrong action. Look, if you put up a website or do something or try something out and it doesn't work out, move on. It's not a big deal. Or leave it there and come back to it in a year and see what's going on. It's just not a big deal. Fail quickly so that you can understand what works and what doesn't work and move along. Second thing I would say is find people that you believe in that you can trust. For me, that's you guys and several other fantastic internet marketers